What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Another video just to see where we are with the markets, what's going on. Didn't get a chance to do one last week with stuff going on, but I think the mindset and what we've been talking about is very much we're bullish until we see something that changes our mind, really. And that key thing for me is follow through. That's what I'm really looking out for. So I think a couple of videos ago we kind of spoke about, maybe around here possibly, or maybe a bit earlier, that we've been waiting for this huge drop, but maybe not the best mindset, because you have to trade what's in front of you rather than what you think. So I've been very much respecting this move here and kind of thinking don't think this move is done. That was my thesis. It was wrong, right? You just have to hold yourself and be like, right, I held that way too closely. And I spoke about that, I think, in some previous videos. So my mindset and thesis has been I'm long until proven otherwise. I might day trade the short side, because I have a couple of day trades to use during the week, so it's something I might do. So I would be hesitant to hold it overnight, but like here was a really nice move if you're playing the short side, right? So we just zoom out and just look at, so it was this day here. This was a bearish trend day. It was really nice. I didn't trade the short side on that side. I'm still trading the long side, and I didn't really have time to set that all up. But you could have potentially held that. Then XLV, so healthcare, I think is a very weak sector. It's leading the bears on that side of things. But we got that. But what I've been looking for, and Dan from the Chart Guys was talking about this, which I really like and I agree with. Definitely go recommend the Chart Guys videos. Is if we're waiting for like a market sucker punch. So we've seen a couple in here already. So this is an example of this is not it. This is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is follow through. And usually with a sucker punch is, this move is kind of floaty. The bulls are like, yeah, we're kind of just chilling along, but small pullbacks, but we're kind of going again. It's bullish. Okay, there's no stepping away from that. But I always like the impression that I think Pete from One Option says, which is bull markets die hard. They get whacked. So what I'm looking for, I'm waiting for, but again, trading the long side until I see that kind of price action. Is that sucker punch, is this sort of move, this sort of whack in the face of the market. So when we see like a candle like this, it's a good candle, right? It's on decent volume. But what we want to start to see, if we're bears, is we want to see this another red candle. And then maybe we kind of halfway up to this candle and then another stacked red candle. That would tell us that, things are changing. But we haven't seen that. All we're seeing is, a bearish trend day, interesting. Next day, whoosh, massive bullish hammer, the bulls are back. Nothing has changed. From the weekly, again, we're just moving upwards. But at some point, we do expect a test of these levels. So pullback. So we'll just use the 15 EMA as a reference. Look how far we are from it, right? Even during some good parts. So let's go to 2024. The good parts in the 2023, we kind of see if we stretch too far, I always use the elastic band metaphor, we ping back eventually. Elastic band, and this is bullish, right? We know during this 2024, this was nice, and this was nice. People couldn't get enough of it. They were buying it up, they were snapping it up. People wanted it in at this point. Some pullbacks, some tests there, some profit taking, and then we're off again. But obviously what we started to notice, and why the thesis and behavior changed, was because that's a big stretch, then a pullback. But then the stretch is smaller, a little bit smaller, pullback, okay? Bigger, then pullback, big pullback. So they're coming more condensed, they're coming more common, those pullbacks. And you can zoom into the daily and see the same sort of thing, right? bang, 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 and then they just start to become more, and then we get the drop. Fair enough, Trump kind of comes in here and kind of squippies things up a little bit. Who knows what the price action would be if we didn't get the reversal of tariff bits. So yeah, we're back to kind of where we were. Like, fair enough, okay, we're at all-time highs. But some things have gone very far in this period of time. Like that is a chunky move from 500-ish to 620. That's a monster move, great move. So what we're expecting and want to see if we're bears is follow through. That's what we're looking for. But what we need is a degree of convergence across the sectors, basically. So another great thing that I picked up from other people, especially the chart guys, is looking at sector rotation. If we have that big bearish candle we were talking about, SPY, we want to see that respected across everything and follow through. So you can't just have QQQ having kind of a bad-ish day on that day, because look at not quite sure why that's not showing on my calendar. Am I looking at? Oh, it's on the 15-minute. How does SMH do on that day? Actually gaps up and holds that gap up. Okay, so it's just looking for convergence and agreement across the sectors. If everything is dropping, like XLV, we know is the dog, right? It is the bearish. That's where I'm shorting, is in XLV, because in comparison to everything else, it's just a very weak sector. But compare it to others, it's actually, we didn't get agreement across the board. So Tech QQQ held. So are we going to get a super bearish follow through, even though this is a great bearish trend day? No doubt about it. Probably not, because we've just not got agreement across the sectors. So when we're looking for that sucker punch and the follow through of the sucker punch, how we can kind of tell is, well, are we on board? Is this just some rotation and we're going to see a pullback and bulls kind of carry on? We're looking for agreement across these sectors. That's what we're looking for. If everything's falling at once, we're like, interesting, right? Because that tells us maybe something has changed. So follow through. What we want to see, if we're bears, follow through. We want to see all sectors going down on heavy volume and then follow through. And then if we're bulls, what we want to see is, we can see a drop like this, but we want it to be short, snappy. Maybe it pulls back a bit further, okay? But what we want to see is maybe some rotating sectors. So maybe QQQ and XLK goes down, but maybe XLV starts to get some love. At the moment, I think XLU is actually getting some love. So the rest of the market didn't do so well this day, but we saw some rotation into XLU. That's good for bulls. That's good sector rotation to see that kind of floating in. And I haven't got all the sectors here in this display, but it's just something I flick between and I'm looking for is, are we seeing some rotation in sectors? So again, I just talked about XLU. So next week I'm potentially looking at, do we see some more rotation into XLU? And I think I've flagged a couple of stocks actually for it. So there's some stocks that have traveled far, but I like pullback strategies at the moment. This might be a good one. Obviously, if it stacks up, there's not much room in there, but this one I like. AAP might be a good one. Nice breakout on heavy volume. We've broken out with a nice support beneath us, and we're crossing past that trend line. That's nice. I'd want to see this candle hold, but that could be a good one in a relevant, strong sector that's rotating into. Same with some of the consumer ones, right? The consumer kind of cyclical ones that we've got. So, they might be getting some love going into here, but they've been pretty reasonable. Don't like real estate that much. But you can just see that maybe there's some rotation coming in here. XLF might be coming back. So it's still healthy for the bulls, right? That's the point. It's still pretty healthy. And again, if we are bears, we want to see a crushing of all of the sectors across the board. I'll just get to what I've traded, but I just wanted to highlight some things that have been marching upwards that I've been noticing because I was in them, and just the power they're showing is incredible. Roblox, I was in that back here, but if you're trading that, because I like the 15 EMA as a stop on longer term trends, but again, because I had that foolish bearish thesis, I just never really entered some of these. But you have no reason, if you entered maybe a swing down here, maybe it's short, snappy, it never breaks the 8 EMA, right? Like you can zoom in here and just look at that, but you just see it just never really breaks it. I like the 15 EMA rather than the 8, but again, like the market, bam, where's the follow through? Nothing. No reason to exit that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Again, test there. Nope, follow through. And we're off again. Massive, massive moves from some of these, right? Roblox, look at that for a return. Really impressive. And same with other ones like Hood, exactly the same. Monster moves, no need to exit these positions. 15 EMA would guide us. Could have taken that, could still be riding it potentially. Never saw that close. Microsoft, same. So there's some fantastic moves that have gone on here. And if I was trading what was in front of me, I would be in a much better position rather than what I thought. Because you could think, oh, maybe the market will flip. That could be, you're like, oh, maybe I need to take my small position off here. Again, not heavy positions, but small positions because we weren't confident. But there's no need. 50 May holds. Super nice. Super, super, super nice. Looking back at my notes, just looking at the march upwards on some of these. So what would signify the end of some of this bullishness? I know there's some earnings coming up, but I would want to see Hood, get a bit of a bearish engulfing candle, follow through. That's the name of the game. So we talked about bearish sucker punch, sector rotation, maybe looking at some of those other not as appreciated sectors. But let's just look at a couple of trades that I took. So Tesla, I did take. A little bit lucky with Tesla. I was playing off a rejection of the SMA. I kind of liked the weakness that I saw in here. So this is the 3rd of July. Let's see what the market was doing, because I can't remember. Where is it? 3rd of July. So it's kind of around here. So the market was doing pretty well, gapped up, held quite nicely, whereas Tesla did not. And I just wanted to hold it overnight. So I played it for the day, but I just wanted to hold it overnight to see if that rejection comes back down and exit. And I was just quite lucky because Musk was talking about it was news driven basically around creating a political party. So nice move. Haven't traded the short side too much, but took profits on that. Nice, was pretty happy taking that one. Long wise, INOQ is what I'm in at the moment. So I entered down here. End of day, maybe not the best entry again. Still working on my entries. But I like this pullback. These are the trades I'm liking these days. Is a nice pullback to some support underneath. So I use like 15 EMA pullbacks, but I think this one is more of a anchored VWAP to previous earnings and nice SMA. So nice support underneath it. We get a nice bullish hammer formed. Again, we know the market's on our side until proven otherwise. And yeah, we kind of rode that up to 47.50. So that's quite coincidental timing. But I've got this H minus trend line here that I'm just keeping an eye on. So I've still got a runner position on, but I like these trades because it's nice, because I remember Harry was saying this. It's really good. So Harry from Real Day Trading, it's really good to have a point of being like, I fucked up moment. So if you enter here and you've got a profit up here, your risk towards is pretty good, right? So if you enter here, for me, if it closes beneath the 15 EMA, I can just exit. So that's only $1 and a bit, maybe something like that. But what we're gaining from what we think is going to happen is, 3, 4, dollars into that range. So a good risk to reward, but the volume is nice. The move was nice. I like this one. Same with ASTS. I was actually going to enter here, but for some reason I didn't. I don't know why. Couldn't find anything in my journal, but it's the exact same setup that I was looking for. And again, it's a regaining of strength. 15 EMA holds nicely. Bam, no follow through. Excellent D1 across the board. Really, really cool. Liked it. But yeah, didn't take that one. Foolish not to, but would have been a nice one. Same principle. And what we want to see on these pullbacks is low volume. There's not much conviction there from the bears, and we know in the market we don't have that conviction either. So we're just going to play what we see. Play what we see. So that's the moves I was playing. I think there was one other one. Where is it going? Oh, EVA. AEVA. So that one's in play at the moment. So still in that one, but same principle. Pretty much identical to INOQ, doesn't it? Actually, pretty much. But yeah, found support here. I want to see an above average kind of volume, and you can see the relative strength start to appear. You can kind of see it here on this chart as well on the 15-minute. But that's what I want to see. I want to see a nice reversal. There might even be a HA reversal. Yeah, so you could play the HA reversal, but same principle on that Thursday. So entered here like the reversal. Checked in at the end of the day because I was busy playing football, but like it. And yeah, just want to see how this move goes. Keep an eye on the market. And again, if we get that super bearish engulfing candle, maybe that will happen to the market. If it happens, we end up potentially scratching out the trade. That's fine. So they're the sorts of things I'm looking for. Breakout wise, that I think is one that I'm watching curiously, because you can see that green up there, great relative strength, really, really good, really cool. So could entered here, but I just want to see a bit of a pullback. So I've just set a LRSI alert. Just want to see that pullback, come back over 20 again, and hopefully we want to just see the breakout hold, this candle over halfway hold. But I like that. I like it a lot. So lining up my next positions for pullbacks and breakouts, because we'll keep trading along until we see otherwise. Again, here's not a bad one as well. Nice reversal. Got to be careful of earnings with some of these, but this one's fine. But also not a huge amount to go. I mean, if it pulls back here, 65 is nice, but risk to reward, you potentially have to risk, $1 to make $1. It's not really what I'm. Look at that. Touch, 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 touch. So it might break out there. Might be a good one to do so. But I'll be watching it. If it pulls back nicely to here and holds, I might enter a small position and just hold it until here. Looking for a breakout. Again, utilities we know are getting some rotation, so it might be a good one. I'm actually going to add that there because I actually like that one. Some of these I haven't purely reviewed, but on the bear side, I'm not done all my scanning for the bear side yet. But if we see sector rotation, just keep an eye on which sectors don't do well. One sector that's, like we're saying, is an absolute dog is healthcare sector. And, look at this nice breakdown. This one past a key level here, forming lower lows. Look at that volume increasing as it gets there. Bam, smashes through. Healthcare sector stocks are just extremely weak at the moment. I need to review lots of these, but I flagged them up earlier in the week. Again, this was my alert I set. So I just set lots of alerts. If these trigger, I'll keep an eye on them. Again, volume's good. IBM was a potential one. Didn't quite work out. Might have to take that off my list. But yeah, I just need to go and review some of these. But you can see why it's difficult to trade the short side at the moment, because that deck really nice. Was tempted to get into that one. But yeah, potentially a 2-day trade, really nice. Definitely would be taking profit down here, definitely. Same with Lulu, got in there nicely, 235. Could have rode that down for a good $10 nearly, really, but wouldn't. Just not conviction to hold that much longer, to be honest. PG was actually, short I took. I think I just scratched out a bit down here. So I took a little bit, I guess like $1, but I just didn't like the price action it was showing. And you can see it's really wicky, all these bottom wicks down here. And I was just like, ugh, shows support is around here. And I'm, if something's dead weak, fantastic. Like Lulu, like look at that price action. That's what I want to see. I want to see this die. That's what I'm looking for. If things are holding up and it's the next day, I'm happy just to take profit from that Monday to Tuesday. Don't really want to hold it very long. And that's it really. That's what I'm looking for across the board. Earnings this week, lots of earnings coming up. So definitely keeping an eye on some of those. Lots of consumer defensive ones coming out to keep an eye on, see how they're doing. Be interesting. So to see if we get some rotation. Google, Tesla on Wednesday. Some other ones on Thursday. Yep, they're all just coming in thick and fast at the moment. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Be careful how those picks that are picked out and those utilities, if they get affected by other earnings. So trying to be careful with those going in. What else we got? I suppose we've also got Powell is having a chat on Tuesday. Also, there's been stuff around to do with his resignation. We'll have to see if that. Usually, I wouldn't really bother, but kind of Powell speaking. But I think that's in wait and see mode. They probably haven't seen enough yet, so maybe. But it's worth just keeping an eye on. Nothing on Monday really, apart from CB leading index. Manufacturing could be interesting. Home sales, I think it's either new home sales or existing home sales. One has been dropping. Oh, you can see that was here, but a lot of that's COVID related, isn't it? But I like seeing these in charts. You can see actually the levels are not actually the best across the board. So worth keeping an eye on just different levels. But obviously the big daddy is kind of flash manufacturing services because we're pinged back up because I was looking on these sorts of ones to maybe get negative, but they haven't. So that's just keep an eye on unemployment claims is probably the most relevant ones. But I was interested week by week for a while we're up here, but numbers have started to come down, which is good. So good numbers, healthy numbers. So Fed, they'll probably keep holding until they see otherwise. It'll be interesting to see how these other numbers do. So that's just what keeping an eye on. That sector rotation, just keep an eye on that. We can just see healthcare's a dog. And utilities, that's smashing day on Friday. So we might be seeing those come back up from the abyss. But that's it from me. Just need to look at some bearish picks to make sure I'm well balanced. So if we do get that follow through, potentially got some picks ready to kind of take the initiative on that. Hopefully trading goes well for everyone. I've learned some good lessons the last couple of weeks about stop losses. Maybe I'll write that down maybe to do something separate. But sometimes you need a painful lesson on stop losses and why you need to respect them. Because sometimes you just need the painful lesson to teach you. Sometimes it becomes theoretical. But that's it from me. So thanks everyone. Happy trading.